why are teens vaping? So it's cool, right? So they go to the party they're like all different shapes. I mean, we can't even keep up with them. Some of them look like little MP3 players. Some of them look like USB drives. Some of them look like stylus pens. Some of them are all sparkly, so it's cool. The smoke is different than your traditional cigarette. So what I found is that people are taking a hit of the vape and then just blowing it in their sleeve, or if they're near the window, because it's not a big billowy, puff of smoke, and it's not as, kind of well known.
Right.
So that reason, so it's cool. It's kind of, kind of easier to sneak it.
Right.
What else did I hear about it? And then the other thing is that, the flavors. Another thing is the marketing. So, so when I work with our law enforcement, because you are not supposed to be smoking prior to age 18, anything, and law enforcement is not enforcing it with teens as far as giving them a ticket, a citation. So instead, the law enforcement is going after marketers, manufacturers, and the sellers.
Right.
So where are the teens getting it? I would guess that they're buying it online. Somebody savvy enough buys it online and then distributes it. Or maybe there's a corner store that the neighborhood kids know about. Hey, they'll sell it to you. And then maybe just bartering amongst each other.
Awesome. Yeah, but I do agree with that. I know I have a younger sister in high school, and she tells me how she sees it a lot. And there have been kids who've been suspended for doing it in class, so it's kind of crazy that it's such a big thing right now.
Yeah.
It's really, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to ask the next one?
So to your knowledge, is there a particular group in Millikan High School that seems to be a priority group that you might have seen them doing?
No, I'd say it's across the board. It's something available to anybody who's in high school. It doesn't matter socioeconomic, racial. It's like,
How about grade-wise? Do you
Well,
see
grade-wise, yes. Grade-wise, I would say that it's probably sophomores. That's where I've
Interesting.
heard it. The younger kids, because they're more influenced by their peers. Kind of haven't found their place yet on campus, or kind of in like, okay, who am I in high school? Who am I as a teen? So maybe that's a way of kind of showing, I'm cool, or something like that.
So it's a method of adherence in a way to other groups?
Oh, definitely. I think it's a cool, whatever that means. That they're cool. They were seen vaping. They had a vape. They were able to give somebody a vape.
Okay. I guess we already talked about influencing factors. We have that. In the school, do you think there are any forcing factors that might enable them to do that? Is there a policy or anything like that that prohibits them?
Oh yes, we do have an anti-vaping. I mean, Ed Code does not allow any type of cigarettes, including e-cigarettes, on campus. So it's not allowed. We have tried to put campaigns. We have ways to communicate, which is through our bulletins and through presentations. And so, the expectation is they're not doing it on campus. However, as you know, there are a lot more students than adults. So if they get the opportunity and are feeling bold, they take that opportunity. And it's that time of life, where you're kind of young and like, let me try this.
Right.
And, but the teachers are on board. The teachers, we try to give them as much information, because there's, like I said, some of them don't even look like a vape, like it's a little device. Looks like you're plugging in your USB.
Yeah, the Juul.
You have
Juul,
yeah, Juul, all this stuff. And so, it might be right there next to the computer, and the teacher is not aware.
They even plug into your computer. To charge.
Plug into your, so it does. So it looks like
Yep.
like a maybe a data device,
Flash drive.
a flash drive. So we have to constantly, as administrators, tell the teachers, okay, one time I put together a presentation with like 5 different ways that it looked, and the teachers were like, can we have that? Because they didn't realize,
Right.
that's how it looked.
Right.
Because they were thinking of some old school kind of
The
like
big
pipe or
club,
something
yeah.
like
Mhm.
that. And no, they're very sophisticated. And that's the other thing. Teens have a lot more time to stay a few steps ahead because they just have that much time on their hands. You know, they don't have a commute, they don't have a job, they don't have, you know, they're just sitting around trying to figure out ways to do what they want to do.
And so this information, as far we know about that, you told your teachers how to enforce and how to look for
What to
things
look
they
for.
do. But the students, do they know what it involves, vaping? Do they have any information? Is it through health class? Is it
Well, at high school, we do not have your traditional health class anymore. So that has not been, that's been taken out of the high school curriculum. But they do have PE, and that's a place where, you know, where they would get health information. We also have science classes, you know, that would be a place to talk about it. In our presentations, we do talk about chemicals, and you know, because another thing about it is they think it's not as addictive. So adult smokers have been marketed for the e-cigarette is that it's less nicotine and it can help you get off cigarettes. But the opposite is true for teens. They're moving towards understanding that because it's so new. You know, these e-cigarettes have been around for 10 years. So, or more, you know, just around 10 years. So they're saying that the teens are starting with the e-cigarettes and the vapes and then moving on to the traditional cigarettes. Right?
Right.
So it goes the opposite way. And so that's the big problem is that the teens, oh, this is less, so if I'm doing it, it's not as harmful. It's cool, but it's not as harmful, but it is, right? Because any amount is harmful. So we have, you know, there's a bunch of PSAs on YouTube right now that talk about the harmful effects of vaping. However, as we know, that this age group is feeling invincible right now. They don't feel like anything can hurt them. So what is it? You know, so you show them that and they just don't have a frame of reference. Like, you know, I'm 16, right? So so it's really, it's what I like to focus on is the addiction aspect. You know, like you're giving up your freedom to this device. So when you do get your first job, the first thing you're gonna do is go and buy a vape, which is gonna do, you know, what else could you do with your money? And by doing that, you are going to be beholden to this corporation that has itself wrapped around your brain through addiction. So I try to like really think about their life and their power when I work with them.
Right.
This is Mr. Jimenez. He's another assistant principal here. Probably move those. But, you know, I think that the deterrent would be kind of who's the person, you know, because maybe somebody's, once you call somebody's parent about it, that might be it, you know. Once you call their parent, then they're done, you know. So
I think that's what we've seen a lot in doing the research thus far is that a main factor influencing these kids to start vaping is the social aspect as part of it, but also is the lack of knowledge of how harmful these things really are. I think that plays a huge part in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When we were researching, it showed that 2/3 of high school students think that it's just flavoring.
Okay, they don't think
realize
it's
that there's nicotine and other chemicals
and other
involved.
chemicals. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of our other questions would be, so you said there is a strategy in place, which is campaigns and information that's provided to the students. Is it like a general meeting? All of the students have the same information? Is that what it is?
Yes. So we do a presentation at the beginning of the school year, and then we have bulletins that are presented through classrooms. So kind of like a PowerPoint newsletter, but you know, you can put a YouTube video on that, and then those have brief, you know, 1 to 2 minute videos of anti-vaping videos.
Okay, and is that, to your knowledge, is that something that's district-wide for?
No.
It's just for Milliken High School?
Yes, so far that's what my influence is, Milliken High School.
Yeah, and we targeted that only because it was probably one of the areas that, I don't know if she told you, but that was one of the areas that we saw a high number of incidents, so we felt like we needed to address it, you know. So, you know, some schools have different issues, so, but that was one that we were coming across quite a bit.
Okay.
And what's been out there, I mean, it's okay, but it's not, there's just doesn't seem to be a lot of resources either, like,
Yeah.
you know.
Agreed.
I mean, we showed a clip that was from NBC News, you know, and it was, you know, maybe a minute and a half or so, really quick. But I want something, I mean, I was hoping we could find something a little bit more impactful, you know? But it just kind of glossed over it, you know, so,
Right.
yeah.
Well, what we had in mind, if we actually get to turn it into a program at the end of the class, who knows? We're thinking of something that might actually involve the students, something that will give them meaning, something that they will have hands-on and they'll know exactly what it is, rather than just something that would only be in the beginning of the year, or something that it just might slip out of their mind before you know it.
Right.
But okay.
Student involvement is always, you know, when you get them involved, it means a lot more to them. So
Okay.
that's a great idea.
They listen to their peers a little bit more.
Yes, if it's coming from them, or
Yeah.
even, you know, young
Even you
people like
guys,
you,
yeah.
the impact goes a lot farther than us. I mean, you know, it's the Charlie Brown effect.
Right. Okay. So would you agree that that type of intervention would be something that would work with the students?
I think it could work
Yeah.
if it was done right, you know, and really, you know, starting with the research and giving it to them so that they can make meaning of it and say, well, what do you want? And I mean, I would bet that they'd want to do some type of social media thing, you
Okay.
know, Instagram,
Right.
Snapchat, and app, you know, because that's how they're communicating with each other. So, you know, but that's, I mean, it would be up to them, like, how does it look? They might say it's a YouTube video, you know, but that's the way that students are communicating. And then asking them, why is it that people are vaping? You know, it's because you don't know the health effects, because it's cool, because, you know, you don't realize that you're going to get addicted, you know, so
Right.
like maybe it's 5 different,
Okay.
you know, campaigns.
Okay. Well, for the most part, I believe that's all the information that we needed.
Yeah, that helped a lot.
And it did help a lot.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you so much for.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Good luck with your project.
Yeah, good luck.